are back again. This is BigLoudMouth. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again. Welcome to another episode of BigLoudMouth. We've taken another break because our producer decided to go and see the safari.
He was living his best life.
He went to Africa. But today,
wow,
it's not racist. If it comes from me, it's not racist.
Wow, okay.
To all our white viewers, you're not allowed to repeat that.
You are perpetuating the stereotype.
Yeah, to all our white viewers, you're not allowed to describe the podcast in that way.
Wow.
Just say they made fun of the producer and that's it. Just leave it.
Yeah, Ade went to live his best life for 3 weeks. Living his best life.
I'm back and forth with you.
I'm living my best life.
This guy we're supposed to be recording on Sunday. This guy was Snapchatting. I was like,
Snapchatting. Different weddings.
Wow, it just went to one.
Oh, okay.
Just one wedding.
The outfit was different.
What,
the outfit was different.
No, the animals in the safari making love does not count.
Wow.
It doesn't count. Anyway, before we take too much of your time and you're staring at us like looking like normally it's just 2 people in this podcast. We have a third person on the podcast today.
The wonderful,
intelligent, beautiful.
Smart. Show them your teeth. Show them your teeth.
I don't want to sound too. You know, nowadays it's 2018. When you compliment a woman too much, people watch you now say it's sexist.
Yeah.
So
it's one thing that got me tripping in.
That's the clue to her name.
I want to admit it.
Amarie.
That was not even how the song went.
Listen, I be freestyling my own tune. You know what I mean? If it sang like if they used the lyrics that I provided, they would have sold more records.
Do you know what?
But ladies and gentlemen,
he's literally singing like a proper backup dancer. You know, they don't sing, they just mime. So you can mime. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Amarie.
It's Amarie.
Hi everybody.
Hey, you know, budget stuff. So we got to clap.
Yeah.
We got to clap. We got to clap for you.
We'll add the clap.
We'll clap for you. Yeah, Amarie, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay.
So,
all right. A little bit about you, Amarie. Tell us something.
Yes.
Tell us something about yourself that only your mum would know.
Wow. Already? It's like 2 minutes into.
Hey man, why not?
Only my mum would know.
It has to be interesting. Don't tell me some nonsense stuff.
Like your middle name, nobody knows.
I would just let you know right now.
You don't like.
You know what I mean?
I've only got one, by the way, so it's not that hard to not like.
Yeah, on like
Christina. It's quite white.
That could have easily been your first name. That could have easily been your first name.
Yo, I didn't know.
But is that not the point of a middle name?
I didn't know your name was
It's
Christina.
not that bad. It's really not.
No, considering a little bit about Amarie, she used to be a massive tomboy.
Yeah.
Massive.
Really?
What I mean, she used to be up guys. It's that bad. That's how
Here
deep
we
it
go.
is. That's
Like one of
how
them
deep
ones
it
who's
is.
throwing me under the bus now.
Well, I'm not for. I'm just saying. That's everybody.
I take everything I say with a pinch of salt.
that know you from that time know that you were the person to go to get the strap.
Were you ever a roadman?
I was not a road.
Amarie, don't lie.
not a roadman.
Shame the devil.
Go get the strap.
Shame the devil.
Go get the strap.
Listen, if you wanted any girl to be beaten up, she's the go-to person. She was the go-to person.
I was a bit of a psycho in school. I had my moment.
Yeah, you know,
we all have
teenage
moments.
pressures,
Exactly, you know.
Listen,
Hormones.
guys
all
were
of
scared
that.
of this girl. Guys were scared of this girl.
So is it fair to say that you probably didn't have a boyfriend in secondary school?
Who was the guy? Nah, she did.
Yeah, I did. That wasn't that bad.
She did on the slide, though.
She couldn't be that bad then.
I don't know if he might have been.
You know,
scared
in
of me, but I
secondary school,
wasn't, like,
there's some girls where like, so even guys would be like, not just because they're just aggressive
I
and
was
very
a bit
violent.
like that. Yeah.
But people didn't stay away from me.
Well, kind. Nah.
I mean, if you could be friends with this guy, people didn't stay away
He
from
wasn't
me.
exactly normal.
Wait,
what? No, I wouldn't say that.
Time out.
Just to point out, this is another
out.
person who's coming on the
Time
show
out.
and he has something to say about us.
What?
So for those
He's a
people who are
good
saying I'm the
guy.
bad person on this podcast, take a good look at my partner
He
right
is
there.
a good guy,
Thank
but
you.
yours wasn't exactly perfect yourself. You know, he didn't have any like run-ins or like. He was yeah. Everyone liked you, yeah.
Yeah, because when you force people to like you, they
No,
don't have a choice.
listen, you see, you right. You
I'm
were
just
actually a
saying.
hater. You're a hater.
Anyway.
Listen, you heard it from the horse's mouth, right? I was a nice guy. Everybody liked me. Everybody wanted to be around me.
See,
it was just, it's what it is.
It's not a compliment, yeah, when the things that have been said forward it is not complimentary. When the compliments come after the diss, it's just to patch the pain.
There wasn't a diss anyway.
There was a diss.
Anyway, cool. Yeah, so tell us something that only your mother would know, or even something your mum wouldn't know. That'd be dope.
No, because then my mum might end up watching the podcast.
That's great. Yeah, man.
I don't mind. This is going to be so random and out there. At one point, well, my mum wouldn't even know this. I think no one would know this. But at one point...
Are you sure you're willing to share that?
Yeah, I am. Why not? At one point, and I still have moments like it, I'm not going to lie. You know, like when you go through little broke moments and I just feel like... I'm not going to lie. I wanted to open like a black strip club, a black-owned female strip club. I know that sounds so mad, but yeah. That's one thing no one would know.
What happened? Why didn't you follow through? That would have been.
It's kind of hard to get into the flipping like.
What, convincing the girls or getting the space?
No, okay, that wouldn't. Sorry, not in a bad way. No disrespect to women because I am a female, but I don't
Is
even
it
feel
renting
like.
the space or renting the women?
But I feel the space
one?
would be harder than getting the females.
No,
and
no,
I'm
no.
sorry, how the idea actually came about.
There's social clubs getting closed down every day.
Wow.
You could rent an old pub just for you. There's like a couple poles.
No, but this is the thing. I wanted it to be like a proper, like, very high class.
Do not despise the days of little beginnings.
So hold on, wait. The best part's coming up. What was the situation that you was in that made you thought, you know what? Let me do something strange for some
Don't
change.
give away your business.
Yeah, well, I wasn't, what made me, I was having a discussion at the time with a few friends, and we were basically talking about how sometimes ladies kind of demean themselves. Yeah. Like, you know, like, you watch these videos on Instagram and stuff of girls going to the club, like, near enough half naked, or, like, just girls just doing the most outright,
for free,
outrageous, exactly, stuff, and they're doing it for free. So it's like, I don't know, you get all these Instagram
You want to wear net to the club? You pay for it. You want to wear that fish net to the club?
And you're doing it all for free. So I thought to myself...
I think the commercial would be crazy.
I've never seen any strip club commercial in my life.
But then as well, another reason I felt...
10 p.m.
It would be a good idea.
Broke nigga? Is there a nigga who brings nothing to the table?
But then as well, when you think about it, you've got America,
Yeah.
and in America, you've got all these, like, you've got the King of Diamonds, you've got the, like, kind of big black, you know, the black, beautiful, big, like, different size black girls and Latino girls and, stuff like that. England, I don't know if you lot are both men, I don't know if you've been to strip clubs over here.
No.
Right.
I'm a child of God, never been to no strip club.
You know.
What's a strip club? Please define a strip club. What's a strip club?
You've never been to a strip club?
What is it? I don't.
Ever?
Nah.
Not on like a...
Charlie, you never been to a strip club?
I've never been to a strip
You never been to a strip club?
Do you know what would actually... The whole point of going to a strip club, from what I see on Instagram... The whole The whole point of going to a strip club, from what I see on Instagram, when you press the search button, you're looking for 50 cents, but you just see all this nonsense. From what I know is you go there because the women there are endowed, especially either by having a doctor or being doctored.
Yeah.
Right? But here in the UK, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
The women are not endowed.
Do you understand?
So
I
why
felt like there should be something for the black audience. I felt like there should be something for the black audience because it's like over here, I don't know, you got your spearmint, whatever.
No, but apart from that, in America, it's easy to have a strip club because you can spray $1.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna be chucking 50p.
But, yeah, but then that's you looking at the wrong class of people. I don't want them sort of people. Like, I wouldn't want them kind of people.
You want £5 and above?
No, not even £5 and above.
Why don't you just have a cash machine?
We would have that. We can have one in the wall, hole in the wall at the like club. But I just felt like for the black audience in this country, there isn't any like.
Yeah, I mean, the women first of all have to be super endowed, and I'm sorry to say, it's not part of the demographic. Like, you know. Where I'd say the UK on the black women's side is a lot more slimline.
But saying that, now a lot of, I don't know if you lot are finding, even if you're looking at a lot of like other cultures outside of black people, like even Asians, for instance, white girls and stuff like that, for instance, everyone's into this whole BBW, BLW, BL.
Yeah, McDonald's.
Basically the butt surgery kind of thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So like
Turkey's down the road. McDonald's
before it used to be like a black thing to kind of have a, you know, hourglass shaped figure or a big bum, whereas now you can buy a bum. You can buy all these things.
So basically your future dream or your future...
Not my future dream. I wanted to be the owner.
No, that's what I'm saying. You didn't even let me finish.
Just in case you try to insinuate, I'll let you know.
Future aspiration is to be And own over a
That
strip
was
club.
at one point. I was like,
Don't
why
give me your
not?
dreams.
Like,
Hey, yo, you must.
so that was a random fact.
What's that Kaepernick Nike advert?
Sacrifice. Don't give up, even if you have to sacrifice everything.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know
Don't
about
give
that.
up, even if it means sacrificing everything.
That's the it for you when
That
no one
was,
knows.
yeah.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I always say parents change their mind when the bank account changes.
It's true. I don't know if my parents
So,
know,
yeah.
but it's true.
You know, Davido's dad knows he smokes weed, and his uncle's running for governor. So, I mean, come on. You think they don't know he smokes weed? You think they don't know weed is bad?
You are
With
sending
that deep
shots,
as
bro.
other
I'm not, I'm just
You
saying,
are sending.
when he is involved,
You are sending
the story
shots.
changes. So, keep dreaming, and I hope you get to
What,
have
has he got a thing about David?
I don't,
or
bro.
something like
He's
that?
got.
No.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time he sent shots.
Don't worry.
It's not the
keep
first
watching
time he
this
sent
podcast.
shots.
The Nigerian elections coming up. You keep
I've
watching
seen.
the podcast. You see-
Wow.
I
Mate.
think I'm firing shots now.
You sending shots.
But anyway,
bro.
today
We're trying to
is-
get these people on the show. You're out here sending shots.
I'm not sending shots.
All right, cool. All right, don't worry.
Do you know what? You're not meant to be on an interview or show if you can't take criticism or someone being honest.
All right, Charlemagne.
But anyway,
I know. I was thinking that. You actually did that.
All right, Charlemagne.
Charlemagne comment.
anyway,
Mhm.
let's get down to business today.
Yeah.
Right. It's I mean the icebreakers was really nice. Thank you for I don't think I've ever seen anyone's ever admitted saying they want to
To be a stripper.
I didn't want to be a stripper. I wanted to own a strip club.
Fake
people.
news, fake
Get it
news,
correct.
guys. Fake
Correct
news,
it,
guys.
okay?
So,
she wanted to be a,
Can you take the lead on this one?
Yeah,
Who's
so
we're here today.
So we're actually here today because me and Amarie had like a 5 hours conversation at one point, just catching up. We started just catching up as we went to this. If you guys don't know, we went to the same secondary school. So we just hadn't seen each other. We're catching up. Had a massive conversation. I was like, why don't you just come on the show and talk about your experience? Because I was, from the person that I knew Amarie to be, I was taken back by a few things that she said, and I was so surprised and I was so shocked, and that she went through that, knowing the persona of how she always carried herself. Like I said, this was somebody that guys used to be scared of, right? I'm telling you facts, right? So when we had that conversation, I was just like, wow, really? And how she overcame that, and so I was like, why don't you just come on the show? And she's like, she'd be open to that, just to talk about her experience. And majority to do was with her relationship with the father of her kids, and how that took her left and how they managed to overcome that. Pretty much, So talk about domestic abuse.
Yeah,
Is
so
it abuse that you're not allowed to use the word violence?
I think violence is when you persecute, right?
I can't actually say whether you're correct or wrong on
cool.
that, but yeah.
We're just gonna go a little more PC and go with abuse.
Yeah.
So so to talk us through, obviously when we had that conversation, it was from a conversation of just getting to know each other, just catching up, right, and stuff, and in that conversation, I don't even know how that conversation came about, and but we talked about it, and then you talked about your experience with the father of your children and what you went through.
Yeah.
What would you say the most difficult part of that? I know you guys are reconciled. I know you guys are really, you guys are on good terms.
Yeah.
You guys are cordial with each other. You guys have an understanding now. But what would you say was the most difficult part of being in an abusive relationship? Because a lot of women do find themselves in your situation. Most cases, men are starting to find themselves in the situation, but no one ever seems to
shares the light on it. I feel like with men, sorry to just make comment on that, like as you were just saying, I feel like as much men go through domestic violence as women, but it's more, like men are taught to be more firm and more, do you get what I mean? So it's like, if I don't know, you was to come and hit me now, everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, do you get what I'm trying to say? Because you're this strapping, big kind of man, do you get what I'm trying to say? Whereas if I was to turn around in a public environment and hit you or start yelling abuse at you, people would they wouldn't look into it as much. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because I feel like, oh, well, he's a man, so he'll be all right. He'll deal with it. Do you get what I mean? When I feel like it shouldn't kind of be looked at like that. I feel like whether it's a man or a woman in the situation, it's still a serious situation, if you get what I mean.
So how did it all come about? Because you know, obviously you guys were in a relationship, you guys were in love with each other, you guys got children together. So how did it turn from that to an abusive relationship?
I would say it started like verbally. So it would start with little comments. First it would be like little arguments and stuff like that. And then it would be I feel like the first thing they try to do is break your self-esteem.
Yeah.
So I feel like once you've broken someone to a level where they no longer, like, I used to look in the mirror and I wouldn't even feel like I recognised who I was as a person kind of thing anymore. Or I would like they start to put in your head things like, I've heard a lot of people that's been in domestic abusive relationships turn around and say stuff like, you know, they felt like if, like, the person will make them feel like if they left them, there would be no one else that would accept them. And from the outside, before I was in that situation, I used to look at things like that and be a bit like, that sounds dumb. Like, do you get what I mean? Like,
easily get something else,
like,
you know?
one of them ones, or it's easy to just walk away. If someone hits you, then just go. But I feel like it starts with the manipulation kind of thing. And then you feel like you're alone with that person. So once someone's broken you to that, like, I feel like once your mental has been broken, the physical then just kind of becomes a part of it. Like,
so what kind of stuff would he say to you then?
As I said, things like, you know, if I'm not with you, no one's gonna want you. And obviously being young and having a child as well, you know, like back then as well, there wasn't as many. I was a young mum kind of thing. I had my daughter when I was 18, so it's like everyone's going uni at that time. Everyone's kind of finding themselves as a person, like meeting new people, maybe meeting their future husbands and wives. You get what I'm trying to say? And there was
like
me,
you're
18 years old, with the baby, and I did used to believe that, because at the time, a lot of people, now it's more, not saying that is correct or it's good, but it's more socially acceptable for younger people to be having children. Like, a lot of children are having children nowadays. Whereas when I kind of had my daughter, there was a few of us, but it was still very big of a stigma kind of thing, like, oh, young single mum kind of thing. Like, so in my head, I did start to believe, like, no one is going to want to be with someone who has a child, 18 years old, exactly. Like, when you actually look at it, it's like, okay, they're in uni, they're doing that, you're at home raising a child. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, but growing up, I realised that that isn't the case. That isn't true. But as I said, when for years, you're hearing things like, you're not worth anything, one of them ones, like, and
you start to believe it, basically.
Yeah, it starts to basically have a stain on your mental, and as well, you kind of suffer in silence. So, whereas I don't know, if I went to maybe my mum or to someone and I said that to them, they'll probably turn around and say, well, that's not true. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
So why did you feel like you couldn't go to anyone?
I think, to be fair, it was more of a fear thing, because, like, I feel like it was out of fear. Like, well, one, I don't feel like a lot of people don't talk about domestic violence because it's embarrassing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it feels degrading. Do you get what I
get
mean?
you. Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't know, if someone phoned you, be like, oh, how are you? And it's like, oh, I'm fine, I'm just sitting here with a black eye. Like, it's not something do you get what I'm trying to say?
You
like,
can't literally go back.
I love how you just said that so casually.
I
love how you
get
just
what
said
I
that
mean?
so
Like,
casually.
So, yeah, you kind of...
It's true, it's not something you just, like, butt out of your mouth. Oh, I just got beat up.
Do you get what I mean? It's not exactly...
I'm not worth anything.
It's not exactly, you know, or like you're sitting there. And then what also happens is sometimes you do have people that you talk to about the situation. And what I was finding is, like, where they're not involved in the situation and they don't see how difficult it is. As I said, like, you judge the situation from the outside, but you're not actually realising, or in that person's shoes, so you don't actually realise what they're going through. So what was happening is, obviously, I was phoning certain people and saying, oh, this has happened and that's happened. And obviously, they'll give their advice of, you know, like, you need to leave and X, Y, and Z. And then they're obviously feeling, which I don't blame them to a certain degree, like, they're obviously feeling like their advice is falling on deaf ears. When it's not necessarily falling on deaf ears, it's just sometimes it's a lot easier said than done to actually make the step to get out. And
you talk a lot about afraid and fear. What was you most scared of or afraid of? Was it the fact that you had a child, or you didn't want that whole conversation, that whole battle to happen?
I think it was the whole conversation, like the whole everyone finding out kind of thing.
Okay.
I feel like back then that was my biggest problem. Like, as you said, I went from someone being in school and being someone who was very outgoing. No one couldn't basically
put you down.
No one, like, I wouldn't allow that. So it's like people knowing me from being that person and then even though people around me could see that I had changed, I still tried to paint this face on and pretend that I was still that person when inside I was broken. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
How hard was it to always put on a brave face?
That is that is one of the hardest things.
Is it the hardest thing to do or the easiest thing to do?
I would say it's one of the hardest things to do because sometimes you literally just want to, like there were so many times I would be with my mum and for instance, and she could like, even though I would be like pretending to be happy, like as your mother, you can sense like when there's something wrong with your child kind of thing. So my mum would be like, what's wrong? Or, you know, you're behaving a bit thing, but I would like find ways to kind of like cover it. But deep down, sometimes inside, I just wanted to like burst into tears or tell her what was going on. But it's like, I didn't want to hurt her as well to a certain level. Because imagine like hearing your child or even a brother or sister or someone that's close to you is going through something like that. You get what I mean? It is really hard to deal with kind of thing. So I feel like I was trying to, as well as myself, I was trying to protect certain people in my family. Because I know as well, obviously, certain people would have been angry. Certain people might have wanted to retaliate.
Or like brothers.
Yeah, and older like family members and so forth. So it's like, I didn't want the whole, the conflict kind of thing. So I thought to avoid that, just kind of brush it under the carpet. So, and you kind of believe it's going to stop.
Sorry, I have the reason why I know people might be asking like, Tyler, what kind of question was that? Is it the easiest thing to do or the hardest thing? Because some people will tell you when I'm going through stuff, the easiest thing for me to do is just smile and say it's okay. And some people literally find it so hard to say, okay, I need to step out now and actually put a brave face on. Yeah. Some people find putting a brave face on easier, like a smile and just say everything, and find talking about it really hard. Some people just find it easy to talk like to someone who obviously they're close to or they feel like they're comfortable with, but then find it so hard to put on that brave face. And every time you see them, you're like, something is wrong with this person, you know? And it becomes, how do I say it? A thing you don't want to go through every time. So they end up staying at home or don't want to interact with people, don't want people to see them. While some people can come out and just smile and you never know. And I think from my own thinking, it's the most dangerous thing, you know? Being able to come out and just smile and act like everything isn't all right. I'd rather maybe someone who would not want to put on that so-called brave face and smile, and you can ask them what the problem is. They might not want to tell you because you're not the right person. For me, it's trying to, how can people understand the balance in which one to go for? Because obviously you've overcome it. Yeah. You know, what's the best option, basically?
I think the best option is talking out, like literally, because you feel so much more, even just having that conversation with someone and knowing that you're not alone or there is other people out there going through what you've gone through or worse, or just people telling you that it's going to be okay. And, you know, like what these people are saying, well, what this person has been telling you isn't the case. It does take a big weight kind of thing off of your shoulders. Like once like my mum kind of found out and stuff, I felt like, I could actually talk to someone about it, whereas before I was just kind of keeping it all bottled up to myself, like one of them ones. I basically felt like a liar the whole time, walking around having to make up excuses about this, X, Y, and Z, that, or I wouldn't go to social events, as you said. Like I just became withdrawn. Like I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd stay at home.
So you were basically practicing both yourself?
Yeah. Around like family members, I would be put on a face, but friends, I just basically isolated myself. So I wouldn't have to deal with them.
It's interesting that you say that. So at what point did the thing kind of escalate to physical abuse? Because you started off that, you know, it was more of a mental, he was breaking you down, like, you know, in terms of your confidence, in terms of, you know, how you carried yourself. So at what point did that then change to then being physical?
I believe like one day was like an altercation, and in the argument, like, normally it got to a point when we would argue, I would kind of just, after a while, just kind of be like, all right, whatever, like, let him win the argument. And that day, I was basically adamant. I kind of had a spark of my own self kick back in, and I was just adamant, like, no, like, I'm gonna stick up for what I basically believe in, and I'm gonna keep going. And it was a thing of, like, him being like, you know, please stop talking. But he was saying it calmly at first, and then he's like, oh, if you don't stop, then X, Y, and Z. But in your head at that point, you're not actually thinking anything's going to happen. Yeah. And then that's when it turned into a physical altercation. So at first, where we was, I think I would say a couple of years into the relationship, and that had never happened. Obviously, the first time it had happened, I kind of just thought, okay, like, wow. Yeah. Obviously, I'd done the whole, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that kind of thing. But then after a while, it was like we sat down, we spoke about it, and it was like, okay, that's never happened before. So then you start to believe, you know, that's never going to happen again. And then as time went on, it just became more frequent, more regular. And then the abuse would be like, physical abuse would be like, verbal abuse, would be like every day. So it's like, literally, it just got to a point where I was like a shell of myself.
Even before I knew or had an idea of what domestic abuse was or violence with people, I've always said something, even as my young self. You might say it's ignorant because I've never been in that position, but from a man's point of view, and I can't speak from a woman's point of view, I've always said, if a man hits you once, I think he's going to hit you again. And me saying that, it was, when I'm thinking about it at an older age, I'm like, you were just saying that because, you know, you had never been in that situation where you really are looking to marry someone or you feel like there's a future with someone. But I always feel if a man lays hands on you once, I feel like there's a potential he's going to do it again.
I think that's not just to do with me. I think that is anyone.
Or just anyone in general.
I think anyone in general. I think the moment
I'm going with
someone
the stigma
puts
of the men,
put hands on you, they're
going to do it again.
If that's not addressed, I always feel like that's always going to happen.
Even if it's addressed, I feel like
in some cases it's different because, you know, if you address this, if you confront the situation, then some people would think twice when they're about to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's not addressed, I always feel like, that's definitely it's gonna stun because that physical interaction it breaks down a lot of things to the mind. It breaks down a lot of I I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't venture. I can only speak from just things that I observe. And I definitely feel like it definitely breaks down that barrier of repetition. Because the moment you get comfortable, the need that your solution is to lay hands on someone, then that instantly you're gonna do it again.
Because I look at it a very simple analogy of like, you have two neighbors who they have a fence. All they do is keep shouting. The one time that neighbor goes over, and then there's a scuffle, there's nothing stopping that neighbor saying, I'm gonna come over again. You know, that's the way. I know it's very simplistic in my knowledge, but I like to break things down for me to be able to understand. But my thing is, in terms of before it gets to the physical aspect of it, would you say it might sound dumb, but would you say the most key thing to domestic abuse is the manipulative part of it? Like, definitely. That's the base of it. Definitely. So it just doesn't, you can't just jump a phase. It has to be a phase where someone's constantly attacking your human. Yeah,
basically. You know? It kind of, you basically, as I said, it is the manipulation. The manipulation is like a key part in it because it's like, as I said, after it happens, there's the whole thing of, oh my gosh, that's never going to happen again. I'm so sorry. Blah, 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 blah. It might not happen for a week. It might not happen for 2 weeks, but then it happens again. So it's like, but then it's the things that they might say as well. It is a very manipulate. Like, I get what you mean. I don't know how to word exactly what I'm saying, but
So it's like just attacking your character, attacking your being, attacking just what
it's like,
makes
for
you strong.
Instance, imagine going to work every day and having like your manager basically tell you, or no, like, or I don't know, like a parent, every day of your life you get up for school, you're not gonna be shit. You're not, you get what I mean? You're not shit. You're this, you're that, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, eventually that starts to stick on you. That starts to have, and especially when someone so close to you and you think, you know, cares about you and loves you.
So if they say that, you're basically saying, okay, they probably seen something in me that I'm not noticing because they're very close to me. We have a great relationship, and I guess love kind of plays a role.
It does.
I want to ask something because I'm sure, obviously, aside from your relationship, you had like really, really close friends. Some things that would be said to you by a close friend that would be said by your partner, it would hurt differently. So, you know, as someone who's gone through it, like, help me understand, like, was there not a time where the things you were saying, you could have just easily like, you know, this is someone who's really clse to me, like, would say to me as well. Well, you know what,
I feel like one thing I haven't mentioned, which that did have a big effect on why I think I took certain stuff on, is at the time I had a low self-esteem. So I didn't really think much of myself. So when if you don't think much of yourself, do you get what I'm trying to say? I feel like it's easier for someone to break you down. Whereas if you know that you are, whereas now, I'm powerful, I am a beautiful, intelligent young black lady and nobody can't tell me different from that. Whereas back then, I was still in doubt of who I was. I didn't even know fully who I was as a...
Was this because obviously the person that I know from that transition, the fact that you just said to me that you were somebody that didn't believe that you wasn't worth anything, like you weren't worth shit. That's a shock to me because I always felt that you was definitely somebody that was extremely confident. So how did that transition happen? Was that because of you were just giving birth or because you just felt...
I feel like it was a mix of everything. I feel like it was a mix of like hormones, adapting to being a new mother.
Yeah.
And as well, at the time, most of my friends didn't have children, so I was
alone.
Yeah, so it was like, there'll be times when they'll come over and they'll be like, oh, it'll be a Friday, and everyone chills with me for a couple of hours, and it's like, oh yeah, it's 9 o'clock, so we gotta go now. Like one of them ones, we're getting ready to go so-and-so, and it's like, oh, you get what I mean? Like, oh, all right then, well, see you when I see you kind of thing, like, so.
We should we'll come again next Friday before we go out.
So yeah, like... Yeah, like, I don't know. It wasn't...
So, now, I'm going to take it a bit, back home, because it's one of the things we do in this podcast. We usually, because of our background, I have experienced Nigerian couples scream the hell out of each other, right? And the woman will tell you, he's never laid a hand on me. Never, ever.
Yeah.
But the shouting is just as bad. They, like, go and... Nigerian women, I'm not having a go at Nigerian women.
He's saying that because his girl is not Nigerian.
Let's not do that.
He's not involved when it comes to Nigerian women.
Let's not do that.
He's nowhere near that.
Nigerian women, I don't want to speak for every other woman because, I grew up around Nigerian women. I know Nigerian women.
But you're not dating Nigerian women.
They're quick-mouthed. Like, shut mouth.
Yeah.
Like, before you say one, they're giving you 3. Bang, bang, bang. And then... You see some men, like I think with most Nigerian men, they don't like to talk too much. So it doesn't build up for the excuse of them being physical, but looking at it from a Nigerian, I've seen couples where the woman's just firing off and the man, because he hasn't got the same energy, and we should raise kids better. Yeah, definitely. I'm not for domestic violence, but I'm saying in terms of what are the things that you feel from your experience, not so you, but, a man can do or a woman can do. If your partner's telling you, you're too quick-mouthed for me, you keep insulting me, you keep talking, or it's the other way around, like, stop drinking when you're drinking, you're not yourself, or, stop doing this when you're doing this, you're not yourself, just whatever it is, once those things become a trait that's happening, what do you think, it's not the partner's job to raise the other person. How do you, as a partner, see the actions to take to say, okay, I don't want this to lead to somewhere? From your experience, what could have been done?
I felt like, well, one, I feel like the person has to be willing to work with you on certain stuff, lest it doesn't go anywhere kind of thing. Because like there was points where obviously we would speak when obviously things like that wasn't happening. And I would be like, obviously you've got anger issues, do you get what I mean? So maybe you need to go and maybe look into having some form of counselling to look where your anger and aggression is coming from. But it's like, if that person isn't willing or ready to acknowledge that they have a problem or what they're doing is a problem, then you, not in a bad way, you can't really help someone that's not... Do you get what I mean? If you don't see that you have a problem, then to you, there is no problem.
Because I have a confession, and my confession is I don't leave things alone. And my girlfriend would tell me that, like, Tola, you need to drop it now. I can even tell you this happened this week. You need to drop it now. I'm like, it has to be said. Let it be said. And she's like, no. You actually have to leave it now.
Yeah, you do have some anger issues though, bro.
But not towards
not every joke.
Yeah.
No. But just
you need to see me when I'm playing football or when I'm doing anything competitive. I am not the same person.
So do you feel like with your girlfriend sometimes, like, I don't know, say you're in a debate, do you feel close that you might even get a bit annoyed
or you might feel like your way is the end or be all? So you don't feel like your way is the end or be all?
The same anger I would show towards an opponent on a football pitch or a friend who I consider a friend who's really like angered me, that I can't show that same extent to not even a woman.
Okay, honestly, so what stops you from doing that? What stops you from translating?
Because what will stop me from translating, number one, is people might, whether they like it or not, is how I was raised. I have never seen my dad. I had a meeting with my dad a few months ago, and he was like, what do you think about marriage? And I said, it's just looking at your mum. So no matter how mad I am at someone outside, like, The apologizing part, I think I picked up from my dad. It takes me a while to apologize. Before I never.
So you're very stubborn then.
So I'm very stubborn, right? So, but I've picked up the habit of being able to say sorry.
Yeah.
Right? For me, that was a massive step. But I still have that thing where like, I like to say it and let it go. But sometimes it doesn't work for the other person. And my biggest fear would be like, okay, if this is a trait where I know I'm finding it hard to get rid of, is this not going to be wouldn't that be considered as a domestic abuse as well? If someone's telling you leave something but you keep banging on it?
No. It's different.
I feel like that's just a bit annoying.
Yeah, that's just a
Not
bit
in a bad
annoying.
way, but I feel like it's annoying.
I have to ask the question.
No, it's true. No, it's true.
I do get what you mean, but I don't feel like that can be classed.
But when it gets too much,
I think the main thing Amarie's saying is the manipulation. Yeah. I think that's very, very important. I think if you use that as an excuse, to get your way or to say that this is how I am, this is the end all and be all, and it becomes manipulative to your partner, then it can stem from that.
In a relationship, I don't feel there's nothing wrong with arguing. There's nothing wrong with maybe even raising your voice every now and then. Do you get what I mean? But I feel like it's the context. And it's the context, the way it's being delivered. Do you get what I mean? Because it's like you can be shouting, but you could just be shouting kind of out of passion of what you're saying, kind of thing. Or you could be shouting enraged. Yeah. Like I don't know, like I could be shouting at you right now, like I'm gonna hit you, but I could be saying it in a way that you don't take it
way
serious.
how you run, because Lord knows. She
got them hands.
She got them hands, boy. Lord knows how we run.
The thing is, I think. For someone like me, growing up, I've always thought domestic abuse was down to the physical part. Obviously, because, you don't have... And I don't pray anybody gets, an experience. I mean, you've been there, and I'm sure you wouldn't even wish it to your worst enemy. It took me a while to understand, like, you could actually be shouting and saying the wrong things to people, and it's still considered domestic abuse. Yeah. And I have a sister. I told Oz before this topic was I said, I don't like talking about this, because, number one, I can't stand a man who will make... Women are crazy. We like women we can argue with, but at the same time listen to us. Yeah. Which is sometimes, it's a good thing. Yeah. Same way you women...
Y'all got issues, bro. No. I don't co-sign what he just said.
Same time,
I don't co-sign that.
The reason why I'm saying... I'm not saying in a violent way. It's like, you want someone you can argue with, but at the same time, you listen to them, they listen to you, they listen to you, but they can argue with you at the same time. You don't want someone who's just going to be like, yes. You know what I'm saying? It's not because you want to argue all the time, Sometimes you just need a bit of passion, like in terms of a certain topic or something. Yep. So growing up, I've always put it down to and I have a sister, and I've always said to myself, any motherfucker lay my hands on my sister, they're getting it, I don't care. And then I'm thinking, do you know what? They don't really have to hit your sister. No. For her to be going through a lot of stuff. No. And then that side of things even messed me up even more. Like, imagine my sister or my auntie or my cousin going through something and they can't tell me.
But this is the reality. There's so many women and young girls and young men, for instance, that are going through this on a daily. Do you get what I mean? This is like... And I feel like with the younger generation, which is upsetting, is because, like, I feel like this generation that's coming up, they don't value themselves a lot. And when you don't have value for yourself, like, there's no self-value, then it's easier for things to be done to you. It's easier for people from outside sources to manipulate you. In like, even look at the gang culture of what's going on right now. Do you get what I mean? Because of a lot of funding's been stopped for young people, a lot of cuts have been made and so forth. Like, there's nothing for them to do. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's like they're thinking off of what their environment kind of thing, and what they're basically...
So at what point did you say enough is enough? At what point did you go, do you know what?
For me, it was my daughter. Bless her heart. It was her that literally kind of opened my eyes. Like, obviously, I never grew up watching my mum and my dad. Like, I've seen them argue, like most people do. But my dad's never laid a hand on... My dad's never even laid a hand on me. Like, that is how bad it is kind of thing. So it's like... my daughter obviously started, at first she never used to see anything, and then it got to a stage where she started seeing this. And then that kind of... Sometimes I used to sit there and I used to think to myself, like, God forbid, I don't want her to...
Go for that.
To start believing that this is the norm, to grow up, to meet somebody that... And I wouldn't be able to turn around in, like, say, 20 years from now and be like, what are you doing with him if I was still sitting there with her father? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because... she could just turn around and say, well, I've watched you do it for however long, so what's...
You can take it, I can.
Do you get what I mean? So,
got your spirit.
And as well, another thing I realised is he was a great father. Do you get what I mean? He is a great father. But our relationship, like my mum used to describe it as toxic. It was like a toxic relationship kind of thing. So, and I saw the toxicness kind of starting to spill over into my daughter sort of thing, like where, as I said, she was witnessing certain stuff. And then my final draw was when she was at my mum's house one day. Yeah. And my mum phoned me and she was like, have you got something to tell me? But the way she said it, I was just like, what? No. So then she's like, but I didn't even think, I mean, my daughter's only about 3 or say 2.5. So she was just learning to proper put full sentences together. So for her to say to my mum, like, you know, she said, well, Jayana's told me something very alarming. And she's, you know, said that my dad hits my mum. So when I heard that is when, in my mind, it actually, like, sunk in that it's like, this is making an effect on her. And it's like, as a mother in my house, it was like one of them ones, with him separately with her, he's a great father, they have a great relationship, and I didn't want that to kind of, it's like, as I said, us together just was toxic, it wasn't working kind of thing, and I just felt like, at the end of the day, it was better for my daughter to grow up and have a separate relationship with her and a separate relationship with me. It was more healthy that way than for her to, well, God forbid, who knows, I might not even be here right now. Like, if I kind of sat down and kept allowing things to happen.
You wouldn't be sharing this, which, to be honest, I have to say, listening to you for like the past half an hour, you know, even the fact that I started with the sentence saying you overcame it, and I'm like, yeah, surely it must be with someone else, but you're still with the same person, I guess.
No, I'm not with him, we're not together. Okay. But now we're like really close. Like, we're really close. I feel like he's obviously, I'm not saying everybody does, because in domestic situations, unfortunately, not everyone changes and not everyone grows. But we were both very young. It's like, I met him when I was, 16? He was, I think, 18 at the time, kind of thing, so...
I was expecting more. I was like, you have to go and find this guy.
So he was like, we were both young. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, and I feel like he grew up witnessing a lot of stuff.
Let's not make excuses.
I'm never going to do that. Okay. One of them ones. But I feel like that did still play on his mentality. Do you get what I mean? And I'm not making an excuse for what he did. That doesn't. Because that doesn't at all. It sounds
harsh, but you know.
It doesn't at all. But at the same time, he grew as a person. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Once he realised that obviously we were done, there wasn't going to be any getting back together. We're just going to co-parent. Like, so everything's gone smooth because now he's I feel like because he's realised, obviously I'm not that person anymore. That you can't say, as I said, you can't tell me that I'm not this and I'm not that. I know what my worth now. Do you understand? So it's like where I've built myself back up to a level. He knows that. He can see that I'm not scared of him anymore. Do you understand? And when I've got to that level where the fear isn't there anymore, that's another big thing. It's the manipulation and the fear that they have over you. Once they see that they don't have that control on your life anymore, it's hard for you to basically try and manipulate or bring someone down that you no longer control. So from there, that's when I think our relationship started to basically get better.
So did he get better? Did everything stop while you were still together, or just when you...
No, it was when we literally separated. My mum decided, obviously, to get him arrested, kind of thing. And I think after that, when he was arrested, because he'd never been like arrested or anything like that for anything else, but I think after that had happened, that kind of opened his eyes to the fact that this is serious, like one of them ones. Yeah, do you get what I mean? Do you want to throw the rest of your life down the drain? Yeah. And I'm sorry, it's like, when you have domestics on your record, it's not exactly, do you get what I mean?
I think sometimes even worse than...
Do you get what I mean? It's like having, not in a bad way, it's like having something like rape under your name. It's just as bad.
Because people start to look at you if you can't work with other people without getting, angry.
It's like, I feel like where he was young, he kind of made that, he decided to obviously make that decision that Well, I can't speak because obviously I don't know what happens on the other side of other people's doors, but
it's true, it's true.
Do you get what I mean?
But for your standpoint.
From my side.
Yeah, I mean.
You know, I'm happy you're in a position where you can actually talk about it. Because, I'd say it's an underrated strength for you to be able to say and actually talk about it. Some people just want to put it in the past.
But you know what? At one point, I would have probably done that. And even when we spoke about me coming on this, and even last time when I wasn't able to come.
Yeah, when you flanked on us.
Yes, by the way, which I haven't
I'm
forgiven
so
you.
sorry.
Because we had to come up with a topic which
I'm so
made me look
sorry.
like a bad
No,
person.
but it was still good. I watched the podcast you lot did. You lot still did a great job. So, yeah, like, I spoke to my sister about it. Even today, before, like, thing, I was like, do I really want to do this? Like, one of them ones. And my little sister was sitting there.
Yeah.
And she was just like, no, Amarie, like, you need to do it. Like, the awareness needs to be... Women and people need to feel, like, more open to talking about it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's a part of me. It happened. It's kind of strengthened the person I am now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, people would even say to me, if I could go back and change what happened, and it might sound stupid and crazy, but I wouldn't, because it's kind of shaped me to be the person I am today. It's kind of made me a lot stronger. As I said, I value myself a lot higher now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
But you shouldn't have to take that.
no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And I'm not saying, as I said, I'm not saying anyone should sit down and endure anything like that.
Yeah.
But on my personal level, it was a part, everyone, you know, your life is a story. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And that was part of my story that kind of held me to the place where I am now. It's kind of made me the kind of person I am now. Well, made me back into the person I used to be, kind of thing. But I just feel like as well, there's a lot of young people, as I said, I feel like it comes down as well to self-esteem sometimes. When you have a low self-esteem and you don't think highly of yourself, I feel like it's easier for people, as I said, to manipulate you and so forth. That's why I remember I was telling you, I did want to eventually like maybe start like workshops or something with young girls. I feel like schools need to start doing more like awareness classes or even just like, self-awareness, self-love, like classes about loving yourself and stuff like that, because I feel like this generation...
I think that's a better idea than the strip club.
True.
Yeah.
I'll co-sign that one.
I think that's
We'll co-sign that one.
We can have half.
No, you ain't gonna be showing your titties in one section and speaking.
I wasn't gonna...
Value yourself. Hey, work it, girl.
You know what I mean? Value yourself. Motivate yourself. Now go show them
I
titties.
think that's a better idea than the strip club. You know, we can forget the strip
Don't think
club.
the money's in it as much now, but
What I'm telling you is government funding it's okay when it comes good. You know, you can and again, it's the feel good factor of doing the right thing.
Yeah, I don't want to feel good.
Yeah, the feel good factor. Of
She
doing
want
the
no
right
bras
thing.
in the sky.
Yeah. You can have the strip club in someone else's name and not visit the place. Just watch the CCTV. That's what you need to do. But no, seriously, I think you should, whenever you get the chance, like especially this young generation where they're social media dependent. You know, the younger generation, even our generation, the people in our generation, most like the bloggers, they place their value or their importance in the hands of society.
And exactly.
You know, and you know, like someone said, if they take out the like button, you know, off the internet as a blogger or someone who lifestyle travel, it's a job. You know, what is left of you? You know, what is left of you as a person?
It's
you
true.
know? And I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And to be honest with you, like when we picked you up, you know, I was like, okay, this is a difficult conversation for me. And just seeing you sitting here, I didn't have to listen. I shouldn't have to listen to you go through pain for me to have a difference. But you know, the level of respect is, you know, from meeting you like 20 minutes ago, an hour ago, to now is like, sheesh, you actually sat here and you can talk about this. You know,
And like I said to you, Amarie, before, like, don't wait to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like I said to you before, like literally, you should already been doing this for my last conversation.
Yeah,
Because you have not just because you have. Forget about what you've been through. You have an incredible personality. You're very smart. You're very precise with it. Right? Don't wait for things to happen. Just do it. Just do it.
And thank you for expressing yourself, for being free with us.
Thank you for having me.
Speaking to you, the thought I met you like weeks and weeks ago. Even though I was like, today when he texted me, I was like, are you sure she's going to show up this time? Are you sure? I was like, call her again. I was like, no, we're good this time. Thank you very much. Like, I think apart from the mental health one, this is one of the most important topics. And to be honest with you, I have more questions. And I'm going to go away with everything you said today. Like, even the stats I was pulling today, I was like, I don't need them stats. Who needs awareness when someone with real life experience is sitting here? Because one thing I have to appreciate again is how you're saying, listen, even though I've been through this as a woman, it's easy to say women go through this. You've actually made the other part, which is like, you know, men do go through this. And, you know, we just wish we would find someone who's going through that or have been through that and be able to, as a guy, and talk to them about it and not feel any way. Like I said, I have to sometimes check myself. Like, you know, I've been in a relationship, especially when you've been in a relationship long enough, you don't know if what you're doing is just a norm, or, you know, you have a particular bad habit that can be borderline abuse, and you don't know. And I like to listen to people, to experience people with talk, because I need to know what I'm doing right. Because like I said, my parents have already relayed a good example. I have to run with that. But I could be making mistakes, you know. And I really have to, personally, me, I don't know what the viewers think, but me personally, I've learned today, like, you know, especially, but I have one more question, is when you're ready to talk, who do you feel like should be the most comfortable person to go to? Family or friends?
I personally think family sometimes. I really do. Because with friends, it could be both, but I personally believe family, because the thing with friends is, I don't know, sometimes
they might not understand.
Yeah,
and you know, with family, they'll take you how you are, because they ain't really got a choice.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere.
You ain't going nowhere. Especially if you tell mum.
Yeah.
Do you get exactly? Do you get?
They ain't got a choice.
I mean, mum got police.
Obviously, she might turn around and, you know, hit you a couple of times. Like, what you sitting there?
Don't say something else now.
Yeah.
They'd be like, that's abuse as well.
But it's abuse that you're willing to tolerate, because you know it's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally believe family, because I feel like, no one's going to be there for you the way your family is, kind of thing. Like, people will sit down and say, when you need me, call me. But then sometimes the people are not there.
Sure.
Your mum's always going to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Get what I mean? So family, I believe.
Well, not every family.
Well, there, exactly. We can't say every family, but I believe family. And sometimes as well, I believe as well, talking to maybe getting a form of counselling. Sometimes I think talking to someone that has no connection to the situation can be a lot easier, because, as I said, they don't know you, they don't know the person, so it's kind of easier to offload your...
It's just you, them, and the couch.
Yeah. So...
Cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Amarie. Guys, if you're going through, like I said, there's such a touchy conversation, but if you're going for any form of domestic issues, verbal abuse, physical violence, or just domestic problem at all, guys, find somebody to talk to. If you'd like to talk to us, we'll more than welcome have that conversation, point you to the right direction where we can. And guys, make sure to follow Amarie on Instagram.
Can we put you on the spot?
Amariestar, yes, you can.
Are you willing to speak to people who are going through stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There you have it.
Definitely.
There you have it. You have a first-hand, you know, communicator here who's willing to help. Just to make it clear to our viewers, today was about, you know, domestic abuse and relationship. I know there are different forms of different, because people start picking up, that's not really domestic abuse. Them two smart people. Today was about, you know, in a relationship, and we have a great Amarie here who's, if you want to contact, please contact myself or us. She's willing to help.
She gonna tell you her contact herself. Go ahead.
All right, what's your contact?
Well, Amariestar on Instagram, and so follow, message me, whatever.
Are you on Twitter or you?
No, unfortunately, to this Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook.
And guys, she's gonna be running her YouTube channel very soon.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
So once I've done that, I will give you.
Yes, whatever thing,
anything
you need. Not anything you need. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you guys for listening and watching. My name is Tala.
I'm Oz.
And this is Big Loud Mouth.
Love you.